Welcome to the Unfiltered Path podcast, where we explore life's journey without the constraint of filters. In a world saturated with highlight reels, we dive deep into the true essence of individual experiences, offering listeners an uncensored glimpse into the triumphs, struggles, and transformative moments that define us. Our mission is to provide hope, inspire resilience, and remind you that every path, no matter how windy or rocky, can lead to growth and enlightenment. Join us as we navigate the uncharted territories of truth and to be moved, be inspired, and discover that you're not alone on this unfiltered journey of life. Hello, everybody. My name is Graham Duval. I'm the owner of Valued Productions. My company provides video marketing strategies to businesses to help them turn strangers into clients using the power of content and other digital strategies. I'm joined with my co-host today.
Good morning, everyone. Trinity Baker, mindset coach and motivational speaker, here to remind you that you are worthy of more than just survival, professionally and personally. Joined with my co-host.
Hi, everyone. My name is Danielle. I'm the owner of Aerial Jade. I'm an aerialist. That's a fancy term for performing suspended in the air. I'm also an educator, so I teach other people how to do it too. And we are here with our guest today.
Howdy, y'all. My name is Rakeem Mickey Sullivan, aka Radio. I am Maine's premier male burlesque performer, as well as a flow artist and an enjoyer of all things movement. I also teach classes and workshops on the side.
Super cool. Super cool. Yeah, excited that you're here this morning.
So, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
No, I know him, so I would so much rather you.
I was just going to comment on Radio's energy and how he's fitting so well into this podcast already. That's like, you immediately started talking about how we all have these professional roles: mindset coach, motivational speaker, Danielle, aerialist, performer, Graham, videographer, marketing strategist, all of the great things in radio. Immediately you came on and was like, look, I perform. People see me all of the time, but they don't hear me, which is literally why we started this podcast, because it's so essential to give people like you, influencers like you, who get seen all the time, but not heard, the space to explain why you do what you do, the passion behind it, who you are, and that story, because that's, I think, one of the most empowering things about being a business owner, entrepreneur, and doing what we do is our story and how we got here, because it's never what it seems, right? Like clients ask me all the time, like, what do you do when you struggle with this? Oh, you probably don't struggle with that. It's like, I do what I do because I struggle with it all of the time. So tell us a little bit about how you got to where you are, Radio, and give us a little bit of that voice. I want to hear your voice.
Absolutely, absolutely. So gosh, how far back do I go? I started like dancing about like 14 years ago, so roughly half my life. It was something that as soon as I stepped foot in the studio, as soon as I started moving, I fell in love with instantly. But it's a field that you don't see a lot of men in. So I was kind of like a double minority in the field. And just growing up, I was like, dang, who do I look up to? And there's no one who looks like me on the scene. There's no one who moves like me on the scene. My performance background is based almost solely in hip hop and breakdancing until I went to college and I learned more styles. So being and living in a place like Maine, where I'm a double minority in that regard, it really motivated me to kind of like put myself out there and show other younger black men that there is a space for us on stage. People want to see us, and we have something valuable to add to the stage and the conversation.
Yes.
That's
Yes.
that's a little bit like how I started.
Mic drop. We can just be done the
Yeah,
podcast
I was like,
now.
wow.
Yeah. I love your resilience as having that double minority, right? Because a lot of times, like, we look at our the barriers And a lot of people see the barriers as this wall that they can't break through. Like, I can't do that because I can't do this because I'm hearing that you saw the barrier and you said, I'm going to overcome that and I'm going to show other people how to do it.
He's like, I'm going to dance on the wall.
Yes, absolutely. So, like, I couldn't let something as mundane as a barrier stop me from pursuing my passion.
Oh,
Like, I think there's a certain point in every entrepreneur's career where they're like, how worth it is this to me?
Mm,
And your answer to that question really determines how you navigate that space. For me, this is all I've ever wanted, and it's almost all that I've ever known. I couldn't imagine a world today where I'm not performing or where I'm not dancing. And I cannot be the only person who has those emotions and those feelings. And that's what really motivated me to like put myself out there in the capacity that I do. So during my intro, you guys heard me call myself Maine's premier male burlesque performer. And part of that is because I am one of Maine's only male burlesque performers. But that's exactly why I'm trying to male burlesque performers. But that's exactly why I'm trying to change that and get
mm.
more men who are interested or or male, let's see, how do I say this? Or people who more align themselves with the male gender. I'm trying to get them to realize that there is a market for us and that we are here. Most of us are queer and we're not going anywhere.
Mhm.
And that not only is that sought after, but it's appreciated as well.
I love that.
Yeah.
I just made a note too that a good like well, I'm always keeping track of good quotes thing at mundane as a barrier. Something as mundane as a barrier. That's just like yeah, it is. It really is. Like
That's a
because it,
mindset.
yeah,
Like, I like that.
exactly. Exactly.
Yeah. Like we could see you a little bit when you said that comment. We like deeply relate. I love because he's influenced my children. So like I've had him come into my studio and teach whacking, which he can talk about to my aerialist because we use our arms a lot, right? So like let me give him opportunity and give him opportunity, right? And in that, you know, my children see it's possible. Now they look at dance different. They've made a couple comments. I know that it has influenced my students because the more possible, more variety, the more it's okay for them to be in the space too, no matter how different
Mhm.
people are, right? Because we're all gonna create like think we don't fit. Like almost everyone, especially like in the circus realm and dance realm, we're always kind of a little different, you know,
Yeah.
our own shape. And so I love that your voice is very loud in that way. You living your truth can really influence so many people. And you know, my son dances on my feet now and is more fluent. It's not just because of you, but you created a space in his mind to see himself doing it too. And I love it. I love it. My daughter's a huge fan. Like borderline, that's my dude. So,
uh,
yeah,
I
you
mean,
really have an impact. Like, so being out there and people hearing your voice and your story and just seeing you visually, like, it's really beautiful.
Yeah, I think it's
hearing
important.
little.
Go
Mhm.
ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah, just like to Danielle directly, like hearing little anecdotes like that is like fully why I do what I do. Like my when I first started, my philosophy was if I could just touch one person who then goes on to touch another person down the
Hmm.
line and create that
Hmm.
kind of ripple effect, and as far as like movement and motivation, then I've done my job.
Yep.
Hmm.
So to hear that, I've already touched two eight voices from teaching with you and like you allowing me to have space in your classes and lead workshops. It's so validating and it's exactly what I needed to hear right now. So thank you.
Yeah, we're all
Glad
about
you enjoyed.
the ripple effect here
Yeah.
on the podcast, and I think it's that alone is such a powerful concept, and just like in entrepreneurship or just in life in general, really, like you can do anything. It doesn't matter, and like paving the way like you are to show people that it is possible is just so powerful. And like, yeah, I can just really resonate with, because you didn't have someone to like look up with. It's like, I'm going to be that person that people are
Mm.
looking up with too. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like,
Absolutely. Even so, like, you guys heard a little bit about my like overall dance trajectory.
hmm
But I only started doing burlesque over the last 3 years.
okay.
Mm.
And in that regard, being going into the burlesque scene, I had literally no one to look up to.
Mm.
There were a lot of moments during that first year, year and a half, 2 years where I was like, what am I even doing? Do I belong here? Like, I'm way over my head. And it was just like it kind of like brought me back to like when I was 14 and I started dancing for the first time and not having any real role models to look up to, no real guidance in this art form.
Mm.
So to now, fast forward a few years and to now kind of be like a pioneer in that
Mm.
field for other people who are looking to access more movement, who are looking to get on stage, who are looking to find their confidence within their own body and
Mm.
get out of their mind a little bit. It's been an immense pleasure. It's been an immense honor. And like I couldn't have imagined like being where I am today. So like I guess that just goes to show like don't let anything, and including yourself, stop you from just putting your foot out there and going for it.
Mm.
Mm. Oh, that's a
That's so true.
yeah, that's a big one right there. I really like yeah, because that sometimes is the biggest like mundane barrier, if I were to use your words. You know what I mean? Is like
So,
yourself. Yeah, like yeah, there's whatever outer external circumstances that sometimes are like, okay, yeah, it's like okay, I can get over that, but then you get to the point where it's like your own self is the one being like, oh, there's
There.
no one out there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's
That's what I'm passionate about, right? Because we all are gonna experience life. Like I think we can all agree, like life happens all the time. Like shitty shit happens
mm.
mhm,
all the time. But you know what? It's in here that we have to, this is what I love, and I'm kind of stepping a little more into this personally because I don't know, kind of going back to my roots of like when I started doing what I do what I do because no one taught me how things like anxiety and depression and addiction and all of those things are actually here to serve me. And like I was
mhm,
just on the phone with a
Mm.
client
Yeah.
who has ADHD, right? And like for her entire life has been told that that will hold her back in certain areas. And stepping into entrepreneurship has shown her how it actually will propel her forward.
mm,
I look at my own struggles with
Mm.
anxiety and depression and addiction, and I'm like, how many times that has actually propelled me forward when I use it? And I go back to like my nursing days, and this always stuck in my head. Working with individuals who have disabilities is disabilities are not disabilities, they're abilities. And we look at these
mm,
things as things that will set us back, like those mundane barriers, right? But society teaches us that they should be a barrier. Society teaches us that we need to mask them, we need to use medication, we need to ignore them, we need to
Mm.
blah, when we actually need to be empowered by them. It's like that's
mhm,
why I love to do what I do. And I think that it's so essential that we have platforms like this where we teach people that these things are actually here for you. Let's use them. Let's help you get that voice out. Let's help you show how you've used these, like Danielle, like you said, when you felt like you didn't fit in, right? You were kind of like unique. And like, I remember back in my middle school and high school, or even elementary school years, where I was like, I felt different. I was emotional. I had anxiety. Like, I couldn't walk into the classroom when all my other friends walked into the classroom with no problem. I wanted to throw up. That was actually an ability, right? So I wish that someone years ago would have taught me that. And I hope that we're giving our listeners a platform to hear that message that things that you feel like should hold you back are actually here to propel you forward. You just need to figure out how to use them, and there's tons of support here to help you do that.
Yeah.
yes.
Uh,
Good. So burlesque is interesting because burlesque has always like kind of popped in and out of my performance, but it's interesting because I'm facing like I did face, let me make that past tense, some adversity around that type of lifestyle for me transitioning to want to teach children. And it's interesting because sometimes I feel like I have to reject a part of myself, and like it's more of like the woman performer side of me. It doesn't mean like I'm walking down the street behaving in a certain way. It's an expression that's inside myself that I sometimes feel like I have to kind of bury in. And it's really unfortunate as a woman, and I'm turning 40 this week. I'm like, oh my God, like how much, like I feel it's the opposite, but it's a beautiful world for performers. I can see why you like that niche. I'm happy that you've niched down because that's like it's really good to do that. And the burlesque world deserves you. I there's a certain vibe and release you get from it, and which I'm trying to articulate right now, but and there's a comfort level with being self. You know, those are always probably the best dressing rooms that I've ever had. Like the funnest times are in that. And that's actually how I met him. I painted for a burlesque group. So I started painting live for burlesque groups like a lot of times. And he won one of the paintings of No
Yep.
Doubt.
And
I
it's
can't
still
make
hanging
it
up.
up.
It's still hanging up in my house right now. I've
Yeah.
changed apartments, but that painting comes with me everywhere.
I love that. And I was like, I always joke, I was like, I'll take you with me. Like any opportunity I have and there's space for you, I'll like always bring up your name. Like I promise. And it's like super random that it's interconnected like that. But I will say this. In my day, there was another gentleman that was kind of displayed similar talents as me, and he's a beautiful man, and he was a burlesque dancer, and he has so much stigma from that, but he went on to be in a reality show that was fitness based, owns a fitness based studio, and is doing his thing, right? And I feel so bad that he even ever had this stigma. So maybe 10 years and 20 years now, here's you, right, in a similar space saying, yeah, there's space for us. You know what I mean? And I'm excited. I hope people don't have to go through what he went through.
Yeah.
Well, I'll say that I'm glad to kind of not have to face those same barriers. I mean, and these are less mundane barriers. These are like actual barriers that are coming from other people's perspectives.
Right.
And let me just touch on a couple of things because we have more overlap than you might know, Danielle. I was working before I went down my path with burlesque. I was actually working on the board of a nonprofit youth organization that I decided to step down from because of the worry about the stigma and the backlash and how that would be perceived on them. So that is still very much a very real thing. I just decided to circumvent that by stepping down and removing myself from it, which personally I wish I didn't have to do, or I wish I didn't feel the need to do, because it does also fill my heart working with children as much as it does performing.
So we still have work to do.
Yeah.
Yes, we do got a little bit of work to do, but these conversations, they help.
I agree.
They help a lot.
That's what needs to change is like, having more of these conversations. And like you were saying, Danielle, is like being that self. And I think it comes down to similarly, like what you talk about too, Trinity, is like when you get in that mindset, it allows you to like work on bringing more of that self. And then like what you were talking about radio with the ripple, the more you do that, it affects more people. And if more people are in that mindset with their self, then more people will be living, and it'll kind of like perpetuate. But it's a lot, and it takes just like this one thing at one time, little bit at a time,
Yeah,
and it
what I'll
takes
say is,
bravery as well.
so much bravery.
Led by
Bravery, courage, vulnerability, like all those things. And that is not
adversity all the time, like just like comments and looks all the time.
And you've got to think
Well, you
like
definitely understand that.
we are actually wired to not do those things. Like we are wired
Mhm.
to keep ourselves protected. So
Right.
we have our nervous system fights us when we're doing this.
Mhm.
So like to
Amen.
normalize how hard it is to be yourself is like it's a whole internal thing. But what I love, and I just want to like mention this because I see it so true, like when you share, when you have the courage and the bravery to be vulnerable, you are offering people a space to think bigger. And so, although they may not face the same minorities that you do, you give them hope to face the minority that they face, right? So, like for
Mm.
Mm.
me, anxiety, depression, addiction, when I am vulnerable and honest and open and have courage to talk about that, I am giving others who may suffer with ADHD, personality disorder, PTSD, like all of those things, space to say, I can be vulnerable too, and I can share
Mm.
my message and I can step into my abilities within the disability, right? So I think
Mhm.
that it's important to know, radio, that you're not only influencing the ones that relate specifically to you. You're giving
Mm.
anyone a space to say, he
Mhm.
did it. I can too.
That's
Right.
right.
I
Amen.
love that. I love
Yeah.
that. And
Yeah.
that's what it's about. At least for me,
Mm.
like as much as this is a business, as much as I seek to profit from my abilities, I also seek to build a community where the stigmas are not there anymore. I seek to build a community that is fully supportive of all bodies, not just
Hmm.
male, not just black, not just skinny, not
Mm.
just fat, all bodies to, and it doesn't have to be burlesque. It could be ballet, it could be tap, it could be
Mhm.
jazz, but finding some sort of movement that calls to you and being willing and able to embrace that as a part of yourself,
Mhm.
Yeah.
So
you
I'm
know?
running Maine's aerial arts competition. So I'm managing the other studio owners in Maine, and I'm a unbiased judge though, so it's in equal parts. I just happen to be qualified to run and create it, right? So I'm doing that legwork, but it's a beautiful collective process. However, I am pole is part of it, and I even aerial Olympics, which is an aerial competition based over the country, accepts lollipop, which is a pole with a lyre on the top, and not pole, because they do have their own competitions and traditions, and it's very competitive. And so I was like, well, that's not enough for me. I'm not limiting who's auditioning for mine. I'm like,
I
so
love that.
the winner gets a ticket to PSO, which is the pole version, and I buy their entry in. And then if it's an aerialist, I'll buy their entry in the other one. But it also means that all of my aerialists are being exposed to that art form. So I've had to be real stern with parents. I've had to be, because there's also age, gender, apparatus. I created very little. I mean, I don't want a 10-year-old, so preteen, like teen. So, I mean,
Mhm.
so there
Mhm.
is just slight, but I mean, I made that as unbiased, and we've recently kind of faced some stuff, and I was just like a bull, like, no.
Oh boy,
We
I
are
I hate
keeping
how
it.
much I
People
can
have
relate
to
to that.
see
That's
this and
good.
respect it. And I don't even do that art form anymore, but it is really how I taught myself it. So there's shout out to that, first of all.
Mm.
And so there's another studio owner who's a judge, and I'm like, no, because that means she gets less attention. Absolutely not.
Mm.
No. So I was like, oh, I've been really having to kind of overcome some things, but I'm excited to be like, this is equally as respected. This is why this competition will honor it across the board. And I
Mhm.
don't think it should be inappropriate to children anymore. I think I want to squash that biasness so bad. And even though it's not my own story, because I don't teach that apparatus anymore, I still want to be a part of someone else's conversation to need that bias to be removed.
Mm.
Sorry, that was a
Yeah.
lot, but
Absolutely.
it was.
No, I can relate to that, because first of all, no movement art form should be restricted. I mean, yes, maybe like you said, maybe some art forms should have, like slight requirements, like at least being able to, like at least being like a teen or so. But even that I think is more so based around the stress and commitment that it takes to perfect the art form, as opposed to what is being portrayed. Like
Facts.
pole dancers can be anything from Cirque du Soleil to a
Mm-hmm.
stripper,
Mm-hmm.
and denying access. And one of those things is a lot more respected than the other. And
Mm-hmm.
denying access to somebody to kind of like jumpstart their career into that field, no matter which direction they decide to go, isn't doing them a service. You're
Mm.
restricting them from learning a passion earlier. Like I said, I didn't start dancing till I was 14. Most of my peers started dancing when they're 3.
Wow.
So
Yeah.
you're restricting people access to something that might be the most beneficial thing in their life. I have
Mm.
tons of pole dancing friends. I have tons of pole dancing friends who use it for a workout, who use it to build confidence. Like
Mm-hmm.
all these human aspects that are being helped by movement and movement classes, that they go into class and they're feeling good about themselves and they want to share this good feeling with people, but then they're afraid to share that because they're like, oh, how are people going to perceive me if they see me climb this pole? How are
Mm,
people going to perceive me if they see me taking off my clothes?
mm,
And like we shouldn't be focusing on the perception. We should be focusing on the internalization, how it feels. How does it feel to take off your clothes in front of an audience? Do you feel empowered? Are you nervous? How did it feel to overcome that nervousness? Are you afraid of heights? How does it feel to climb to the top of that pole and conquer that and knowing that you have the control to go down at your own pace? Like
Mm.
there these movement classes and these movement based routines are so much more than the movement that people see. There is
Mm-hmm.
so much mental prep, there's so much mental work, there's so much shadow work that goes into even stepping foot on stage. And I think that should be the highlight of what society is talking about when it comes to these art forms.
mm,
Totally. Yeah. I mean, that
Yeah.
makes so much sense. And like, I, the thing that just keeps coming through my head is kind of back, like what you said a little bit ago, is like, yeah, you have a business and you want to like have income from it, but it's like having it from your passion allows things like that to happen. And like when you can come from that place of alignment and that flow and your belief systems, it allows you to attract more of those people and build that community, like you were saying, where that doesn't happen and then it grows. And
Yeah.
so
yeah.
I totally connect with that.
That's why I
And you
teach
No.
working with business owners because a lot of us do, you take an entrepreneur business owner, most of us get into the business because we have this passion, right? Like our number one goal is to make this ripple to help people to impact. But we do have to make a living too. So it's like that
Mm-hmm.
fine line in that mindset of as I step into my power of empowering people and offering that space and making my ripple, I will be rewarded with clients, with customers, with whatever, however you serve. And then I'll make a bigger ripple and then I'll make a bigger impact. And we
Mm.
have to believe that these skills, these challenges that we go through in how we choose to step into our challenges and embrace who we are and what we teach and our passions, like we have the ability to be massively rewarded for it. Like the
Mm-hmm.
universe, your higher power, whatever you believe in, does not want you working a job that you are not meant to be at. It wants you using your powers and your skills. But I see so many people not even step into that because they don't believe that we can be massively rewarded
Mm.
for it.
Right.
And it's scary freaking shit. Like business ownership, this is not for the
Or,
weak.
or,
No.
or it takes,
No.
or it takes a while for that come
That's true.
and they stop
Mm.
right before the thing is about to blow up. That's what I see happen all the time is like, okay, they have the belief and they're kind of going through that valley and they're like 10 yards from the goal line and it's like, oh, it's been 2 years. I've been putting my passion into this and nothing's come of it. In reality, they're like 10 yards from the goal line and they stop. And in reality, if they had just kept going, they would have, gotten everything. It's just like wow. And
Oh, I know.
hopefully this podcast is like some sort of inspiration to that, and like hearing radio's story and like getting through those mundane barriers or just like barriers in general, and like the stigmas and everything is proof that it can be done.
Yeah, I mean, and that's literally why I stepped into coaching a lot of entrepreneurs and business owners because it is so sad to see people like right there on the line of stepping even more into their passion and making that ripple and back out of it because it's
Mm-hmm.
scary. Again, this is not for the weak, but there are so many people here to help you. Like I'm just one of them. And I hope, again, I agree with Graham, like I hope this podcast gives anyone listening, even if it, like radio said, even if it's one person listening that's
Mm-hmm.
like right on the edge, going back to corporate America or not stepping into their passion, like I hope that we give you that hope that like every single one of us here has had to step into that 100 times. Sometimes
Mm-hmm.
it is a daily thought,
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
multiple times a day thought that's like,
Yeah.
the crap, scary. But
Right.
that's how you know you're on the right path. And sometimes like people don't see that. And so that's why I'm so passionate about spreading that message because we are all here. Like our challenges become our strengths when we step into
Mm.
them. And that helps us make a ripple and an impact. So I hope our listeners do get some of that motivation and inspiration. And again, like even if you're in corporate America, like I work with entrepreneurs, business owners, and people climbing the corporate path. It is no different. Climbing
Right.
that corporate ladder is just as hard.
Right.
Mm.
And there's a
Absolutely.
balance. Like if you're given skills to climb that ladder where you are, wherever that is, you are given the ability to step into those passions and be massive rewarded for it and have that balance and alignment personally, professionally.
Mm-hmm.
It's no different. We were
Right.
not put here on earth to just survive. So personally or professionally.
100%.
Well, I'm excited. I didn't give up because my business has turned 5 this year, so I'm living out the 5th year, right? And
Yeah.
now last night I had people performing for me, people putting up my rig for me, and I and I could just focus on teaching the children when they walked up and resting my knee, of course, let's
I
be real.
love that.
So I'm recording because now I get to like record and like kind of just like be the leader, right? And I'm recording, and this little girl goes, she looks just like Moana. I'm like, but it is Moana. Moana came to be an aerialist in front of you. And it was just nice to like book it, pick the aerialists, help create and see them come to life and live out their opportunities. And then
Mm,
Quinn, who's like a teenager, and she's just like, wow, she's so physically capable.
that's
And
awesome.
anyways, it just feels nice to be that next level because I had to lead it first. I had to live out all those gigs and exhausted doing everything almost on my own, right? To kind of be at this place now where I get to extend opportunities to other people. Other people are making money. Amy is my assistant, my student assistant. It's a little side gig for her. And then my aerialists get to have this, I get to create stages for them and
Mm,
opportunity. And I'm so grateful I stuck through to
Oh,
this part.
right.
every
And
day, man,
yeah,
every
and
day.
and let's just say that's like a double happy birthday. So we got a happy birthday to the 5 years in the business and a happy birthday to this week of your birthday. So
And
let's just
Trinity, we're
and
only a day
Trinity.
apart. This is
Yeah.
like
So
a
let's give
podcast birthday.
yeah, let's give it
Oh,
up for
now
that.
triple happy
So,
birthday.
yeah.
Oh my gosh, so much. I love it. I love it. You guys are
Uh,
amazing. I'm so
This
grateful for the ability to share these messages and bring amazing people like radio on here to share
hmm
your message. We are so grateful for you and your perseverance and resilience to, man,
Thank you.
A lot. Like it takes strength to do what you do in like mentally, physically, all of it. And so I
Hmm.
just want to commend you for being here and keeping on because we all know that some days it is not freaking easy.
100%. So yeah,
Absolutely.
hopefully this podcast gives some inspiration, and if you're listening and you have a path that you know that you want to do, and no one's done that yet, and like you know that you're feeling that, like listen to this podcast. Radio's got some amazing inspiration leading the way in that, and so definitely check it out. Make sure you follow, like, subscribe, all that stuff where all your podcasts are heard. My name is Graham. I'm the owner of Valued Productions. You can find me online at VALUDproductions.com or at Valued Productions on social media. Happy to connect with anybody who's looking to grow their business. And I'm joined with my co host today.
Hey everyone, Trinity Baker, mindset coach and motivational speaker. Again, here to remind you that you are worthy to live in much more than survival. So, if you feel like you're in survival mode personally, professionally, you are just coming up against those challenges, I am here to support you. That's why I do what I do. You can find me at thetrinitybaker.com or on your favorite social media platform, The Trinity Baker. Joined with my co host.
Hi, everyone. My name is Danielle. You can find me on arielj.com or most platforms. I do partner with the Boys and Girls Club, so I love donating my time as well. And you can find me at the Art Walks. But if you would like a structured class or just inspiration as being a mother, a woman, a performer, entrepreneur, please follow me. And the Unfiltered Path podcast. We have clips, it's nonstop inspiration. And we are here with our wonderful guest.
Howdy, y'all. I am Radio. You can find me at radio_Rakeem, Rakeem. And that is my Facebook and my Instagram, where you'll find tons of movement reels, tons of artsy content. And before I go, I just want to put a few things on y'all's radar. So this Saturday, the 28th, I have a showcase. Me and a bunch of lovely locals have been working on putting on a showcase of dance. This will not involve stripping. And that showcase is going to be at the Trinity Jubilee Center. It doubles as a fundraiser for the Trinity Jubilee Center, as well as a fundraiser for a brand new fund that me and my colleagues are putting together to help anyone who wants to do movement classes across the whole entire state of Maine to be able to do so. So come on out to the Trinity Jubilee Center fundraiser. It'll be held at the Franco this Saturday at 7 p.m.
7 p.m.
I am
Perfect.
also starting a new collective. It is called Next Level, NXLVL, and that is going to be a fire, flow, and burlesque collective with the sole purpose of building a community around those three art forms, which are often overlooked in our broader dance community. One more time, in case you missed it, you can find me at radio_Rakeem.
Love it. Yes. So, listeners, if you're in the area, definitely Saturday night, check it out. And make sure that you follow the Unfiltered Path podcast for more information like this. And we'll see you all next week on the Unfiltered Path podcast.